Hello, babes. Welcome back to the channel. If you are new, welcome. So in today's video, I wanted to talk about the decline of female friendships. I hate using the word female, but it makes more sense here than using women friendships. I told you guys last month that I would be doing this video on Patreon, but I have paused memberships on Patreon. And for now, we'll be doing all content on YouTube because doing content on two different platforms, plus working, personal life, etc. is too much. So for now, it will just be YouTube. So let's get into it. Welcome to Iconically Iconic. Over the past few years, it seems like women have been struggling to navigate their friendships with other women. The stereotype of women being catty, something I personally don't care for, has always existed, but I've noticed it's gotten worse, especially with the rise of social media. Now it feels like many women are in constant competition, not just with acquaintances, but with their own friends and even family members like their sisters. There's this unspoken one-upmanship and transactional mindset, like, what can you do for me? Growing up, we saw real friendships on TV, in movies, and even in our own lives. No friendship was ever perfect, but we didn't go months without talking to our friends. There was a true sisterhood. We checked in with each other, supported each other, and made time even if it wasn't every single day. Now it feels like every other day someone's airing out their friend over jealousy, competition, or even arguing over a man, or worse, disappearing as soon as they get into a relationship, only to come back around once it ends, like their friend is a backup option, and now because they're no longer in their relationship bubble. One thing I've always admired about men is that no matter who they date, they usually don't forget their boys. They still make time to hang out and maintain their friendships. Meanwhile, some women completely revolve their lives around their romantic partner and neglect friends entirely, which is not healthy. We all need a girl's night out or friend time. It's not about being around someone 24/7, but maintaining connection and effort. You can't expect to have the same friendship that you had years ago when you haven't been pouring into that friendship. Another thing is, I don't have to talk to my friend for months and we're still cool mindset. I don't get that. And it seems as though one person is always speaking for the next friend. That person could just be suppressing their feelings and saying, I don't care either, just because you're saying it and they don't want to make you feel bad. How are you friends if you're not checking in on each other, showing up, or pouring into that relationship? But these same people will pour all their energy into a toxic romantic relationship. Like, make it make sense.
It's not clocking to you.
And I'm not saying that you can't be in a relationship and be happy. I love my boyfriend. However, I still know that I have my friendships and that I have to pour into my friendships. Some people genuinely don't care about friendships. They just keep certain friends around for when they're going through something. The second they're happy again, they disappear. Which brings me to my next point. Women who are male identified or pick me types. The ones who pretend to be your friend but don't even like other women. They carry the same misogynistic views as the men they're trying to impress, and there's nothing more dangerous than a woman who hates other women due to her own unresolved trauma, and instead of directing her anger at the man who hurt her or the person who hurt her or going to therapy, she projects it onto other women, especially women who are free, happy, and confident without needing male validation. She'll criticize women for being single, child-free, or traveling solo, and the first thing she'll say is, you don't have a man. Well, the man that you have is toxic. The man that you have doesn't even care for you. The man that you have knows that you will accept the bare minimum and will tolerate his BS because you have no self-worth. So I'd rather have no man than to have that kind of man. She'll laugh at men who bash women, thinking it's funny because deep down she has no respect for herself until it happens to her. Then she suddenly wants to speak about mistreatment. But as you know, it never lasts. The moment she gets attention from the man she wants, she's right back to being the woman hating pick-me she was before. And what people don't talk about is how some of these women actually enjoy attacking other women. They're haunted by their own insecurities and inner darkness, and all they know how to do is project that pain outward. They're consumed by deep-seated bitterness and will always defend the most problematic men because at the core, they identify with male approval more than they identify with sisterhood and being a woman. They're pick me first, woman second. Something else that needs to be said is that a lot of women never grow past their high school personas. You will still have the popular mean girl clinging to her prom queen days, living in the past, treating other women like she's still in the school cafeteria. And to be clear, I'm not talking about the popular girl who was well liked and kind. I'm talking about the mean popular girl, the one who thrived off making others feel small and uncomfortable, and the one who surrounded herself with girls she thought were less than just to prop herself up. And she would embarrass her friends for attention and perform for the male gaze. And quiet as it's kept, a lot of y'all continue to support misogyny and patriarchy because you have no sense of identity outside of a man. You don't know who you are without male validation, and it shows in how you treat other women, how you tear other women down, in how you side with men over your own, and in how you judge and isolate women who don't fit your idea of what you think a woman should look like or be. Some of you complain about not being able to make friends. The problem sometimes is you. Not everyone, but sometimes the problem is you. And it's the way you treat other women, that cliquish energy, which I hate, and making people feel as though they can't sit with you as grown adults. I simply cannot. It's one thing as a child or a teenager because you're still developing, you're childish at the time. But for grown women to act as though they are still in high school has always boggled my mind because it's arrested development and you need help. They're very judgmental and stare at women or look at women with this judgment. If she doesn't fit a certain aesthetic, then suddenly she's invisible to you and she doesn't matter. Don't even get me started in the way some of you mock other women's weight, appearance, style, or hair. It's one thing to say, that's not for me. I'm not really feeling that. That's not my cup of tea. But some of you are just nasty. It's despicable behavior that too many of you see nothing wrong with because no one has ever checked you. Social media has warped people's minds when it comes to friendship. Now it's all about aesthetics and attention. Some of you only want to be friends with women who look a certain way, who can boost your clout, who fit your image. It's not even about connection, it's about curation. And then you get online and embarrass your own friends for likes, retweets, and follows as if they don't have feelings. I have seen so many videos of women trying to blast their friends online, saying what took place in their personal friendship as if the internet needed to know any of this and you couldn't handle that behind the scenes. And I'm not talking about someone who's bullying their friend and mistreating their friend and they needed to vent. I am talking about the smallest little thing being turned into this huge thing because you wanted attention instead of actually repairing your friendship. It's as if they're props for your content, and it's so corny to me. Instead of friendships being about being supportive, loving, and being there for you to have community, it seems like a lot of women hate women and are just as volatile and violent, spew pure vitriol towards women like men. Something I've spoken about before is how a lot of women who have broken or toxic relationships with their mothers are usually the ones who hate other women because the first woman in their life treated them and other women horribly. So they internalized that and became the very person who bullied and mistreated them. And don't get me wrong, I have empathy for, and don't get me wrong, I have empathy for women who grew up in these hostile environments, because sometimes you become that, or you tolerate those kinds of friendships because to you it's normal. But when you're a grown woman still carrying on like this, you are now responsible for your actions and how you treat others. You have to do the work to heal that part of you. And it's hard, but if you really want to change, you would do the work and not make people your victims. Which is why vetting your friendships is just as important as vetting your romantic relationships. The same way you see red flags and ignore them because you think you may be overreacting, that's the way some of you ignore them in your friendships. If you see a woman who supports certain people, has very problematic takes, or the moment she's mad at someone, she spills all of their business, even their trauma that they shared with her, that is a dark, disturbed spirit that you do not want in your life, because it's only a matter of time before she does it to you, because she doesn't know how to regulate her emotions. You can't sit around watching someone mistreat others and then think they won't do it to you just because you think you have a bond. It doesn't work like that. It's so important to watch how people treat others, even if they don't like a person, which I have always stated. You don't have to like everyone, that's just normal. But if you're going out of your way to make sure that person knows you don't like them and doing everything in your power to make them feel uncomfortable, it shows you're miserable, lack emotional control, and you might even be unstable. Another thing that some of you ignore is when your friend has other friends around that don't like you or mistreat you, and they only do that when that friend is around, or you happen to notice that certain people come around, your friend starts moving funny, and it's because she talks about you with those friends. You have to be very wary and mindful of how a person's behavior changes towards you when certain people come around. Y'all have a lot of friends that are secretly jealous of you and literally plotting on your downfall and waiting for your downfall and just remaining friends with you so that they can watch it unfold. Not because they like you, but because they secretly hate you. Jealousy is an extremely dangerous emotion, and I do not want anybody around me who is jealous. I find that to be a very harmful trait to have, because what's stopping you from acting on that? Being around someone who's jealous of what you have going on and who's looking at you and thinking, well, why does she have that? Why don't I have that? You need to stay far away from those people, and you don't even have to have half the things that they have. You could just have a good personality and everyone loves you and they're jealous of that. People could have all the money and all the things in the world, but they still have no happiness. Their money is just that. It's money. It's not making them happy. They have the resources to buy the things that they like, but they are not happy. That comes from internal. You cannot buy that. You have to be that.
How do we spot frenemies?
Frenemies are the classic scenario. So somebody who feels envious of you ends up befriending you. And consciously, they may not be even aware of that. They think, well, I do want to like them. But unconsciously, they feel envy. They think that you have success that you don't necessarily deserve, that you have what they want, right? They become your friend and they charm you, et cetera, et cetera. And then lo and behold, you start noticing all kinds of behavior that's very ugly, that you weren't expecting because they're your friend. They start saying bitchy comments that get under your skin, that make you feel insecure. They take things from you. They act in ways that are hurtful. But because they're your friend, your first instinct is to blame yourself. Well, maybe it's my fault that they've done this. Maybe I'm actually to blame for what they're saying, et cetera, et cetera. So I believe behind the frenemies phenomenon is this phenomena of envy, where the person secretly wants what you have and they're becoming your friend so that they can wound you. And what's best to do is to recognize that. And one common sign of a frenemy, of somebody who's befriending you out of envy, is they're in a rush to be your friend. Normally, we like to take it a little bit slow. We just don't let anybody into our lives. We like to vet them a little bit beforehand, right? We don't trust everybody. But the person who feels envy is like, I love you. You're fantastic. I want to be your friend. We got to hang out. Let's go out for dinner the next night. They're in a hurry. that's a sign that something else is going on, because that's not natural.
Another thing is how some people have gotten so comfortable verbally abusing their friends. It's one thing to get in a disagreement, but some of y'all call each other out of your names and sometimes even fight one another. Like, excuse me? I'm sorry, but in what world is that acceptable? First and foremost, as a friend, once those lines are crossed, you're done for. And putting your hands on each other? Oh girl, I can tell you one thing. As a Taurus, first of all, I'm holding a grudge and you're dead to me. But second of all, you hit first and you're getting folded like some fresh laundry, because what we will not do is the hand thing. And that just goes to show that you look at that person as if they're somebody on the street. But the way some of y'all are in toxic friendships, but on a serious note, the way some of y'all are in toxic friendships is absolutely horrible. We need community as women, and I hate to say it, but not all women can be a part of that, because all they come to do is bring destruction and chaos, and they bring it with them everywhere they go. You can be kind without being a pushover or letting people mistreat and take advantage of you. There is strength in drawing boundaries in your friendships. There is nothing more powerful than when women stick together and uplift one another. And I'm not talking about performative stuff, because a lot of people tend to do that, and behind the scenes they are actually very mean, nasty people. I mean actually being there for your friend when there's no cameras, no social media, and no aesthetic. Showing up when she needs help, or even when she hasn't asked, but you know she does need that help. And not all women want that, sadly. Some women actually like being divided, and don't even get me started on some of the older women who mistreat young girls and act like they're enemies just because that young girl is living her life. They're mean, nasty, and bitter, and they'll take the side of any dusty man who mistreats women. Those women are not to be trusted. And I'm not talking about all older women. I'm talking about some, because I have a lot of older women in my life whom I love and are great, incredible women. But those women are not to be trusted. They'll put you in harm's way. They'll tell a young girl she needs to put some clothes on while she's fully dressed, but she happens to be curvy or developed early because grown men are looking at her. Don't even get me started on those women who call young girls fast for just simply having a crush or liking girly things like lip gloss and makeup. Oh my God. They treat being girly at a young age as if it's a violation and you shouldn't be into those things. But in the same breath, call a young girl slurs and out of her name because she's more laid back and likes sports and baggy clothes, and she just has different interests. But won't say a thing about the men who are disrespectful, abusive, and don't have any respect for any woman, including her. Instead, she'd rather punch down at women. And you can never win with these kind of women because they're miserable. They are miserable 24/7. The only time they're happy is when they're tearing down another woman. So sad. Now, while I love and celebrate women, I'm not saying don't hold your friends accountable when they're wrong, because that is a sign of real love. That means your friend truly cares about you. She doesn't want you out here looking crazy. She'll tell you when you're playing yourself and when you need to tighten up. And sometimes women don't want to tell other women when they're wrong. Sometimes because they're scared of their friend's reaction, and other times it's because they want them to act that way. Instead, they encourage them to do things that they know aren't okay, and it's because deep down they want you to fail. That's why you need real friends who will respectfully get you together. Like I said, respectfully. And don't sit back and watch you self-destruct. She reminds you of your worth and what you deserve, and she's not only around when you're winning, but also there when you're experiencing issues and going through tough times, which seems like something a lot of people have forgotten about, which is just being there for their friends. If your friend is feeling down, just stopping by to lift up her spirits, bring over some movies, some snacks, cook for her, or order food. and spend some time with her for a date or two. That's how you show up for your friends. I just believe in really showing up for your girls, and I treat my friends like I treat my sisters, your family. So the last thing I want to talk about is the friend who doesn't want you to be more successful than her. She wants you to stay below her so she can feel superior. She wants to be the only one who has all of the accomplishments. That is not your friend. And when you keep those kind of people in your life, they block your blessings. God is trying to warn you and showing you signs, and you're not listening. But the moment you break off those friendships, you'll notice your blessings start to pour in, because that person had an evil eye on you the whole time. And this goes for men too. Some of y'all have friends who constantly want you out partying, not taking care of your responsibilities, encouraging you to constantly drink and smoke and party and repeat the same cycle, because they see your potential and because they know you have things going on for yourself. They know how far you could go, and they don't want you to reach that level. One thing about it, misery loves company. There is nothing worse than having a friend who is secretly your enemy, who wants you to fail so they can stay ahead of you, or because they're failing and want you stuck right along with them. It's the people who get mad that you're no longer doing the same childish things you did before, that they're no longer clubbing every weekend but instead handling business. Meanwhile, they're still stuck doing the same thing they were doing in their early 20s. Now they're doing it in their 30s, 40s, and 50s, never growing, never evolving. Stay away from those people. They'll bring you down every single time. And with that being said, this video comes to an end. Don't forget to comment, like, share, and subscribe. Also, don't forget to turn your notification bells on so that you always know when I upload. Also, let me know which topic you'd like me to discuss next, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.